Okay, Jennifer is asking. She says, Kim, I'm loving carve, but I'm not losing the fat I would like. I've been following a 14 to 1500 calorie intake determined by the macro calculator for my goal weight loss since finishing the Buns and Guns challenge. I'm thinking of doing another shred to cut down my BMI. Should I do 4 weeks or 8 weeks, or does it depend on how much I want to lose? Please advise. So, Jennifer, there's a couple of things I would ask. And the first one is, I think I saw a couple of posts in the app from you saying that you haven't been 100% consistent with your diet. Now, I'm just guessing. I can't remember 100%, but I think that's what you said. So the questions I would have for you, Jennifer, if you're here, I don't know if you're here today. Maybe you are. I can check the chat. You might not be. But if you are, I would love to hear from you. What I would say, Jennifer, is how long have you been eating? When you said, and here's the other thing. So you said I've been following a 1400 to 1500 calorie intake. So my first question is, well, which one is it? Is it 1400 or is it 1500? Is it sometimes 1400, sometimes 1500? Is it sometimes 1450? Is it sometimes 1550? So it seems like your calorie intake is a little loosey goosey, and there's nothing wrong with that, except that if you want to lose body fat, there's two things that you need. The first one is you need to be very, very precise with your diet. And I mean precise. Why do you have to be precise? Because you have to know if it works or not. And whenever someone says to me, I've been following 14 to 1500 calories and I haven't been losing weight. So you've said, I'm not losing the fat. Okay. I'm not losing the fat I would like. And herein lies the problem, right? There's the fat that's possible to lose, and there's the fat we would like to lose. And quite often, the fat we would like to lose really just is not possible in reality. So, Jennifer, if you're losing a pound a week or 2 pounds a week, you're doing really good. In fact, if you're losing 2 pounds a week, you are smashing it out of the park. If you're losing 1 pound a week, you're right on track. The problem is most of us want to lose 5 pounds a week or 10 pounds a week. And yes, in the very beginning of a shred program, you could lose 5 pounds a week, but that is not sustainable over a long period of time. So I would like to know, Jennifer, from you, if you're watching the replay, I would love it if you would post maybe in the group or in the app once you've listened to this. What I would want to know from you is, how long have you been following your 14 to 1500 calorie diet? And has it been 1400 or has it been 1500 calories? What cardio are you doing consistently? What strength training are you doing? I know you're doing strength training because I see it all. I see you doing it all in the group. You're always talking about it. I just don't know, Jennifer, from the posts that I've been seeing from you, whether you're being consistent enough. If you said to me, for the last 8 weeks, I've been doing 1400 calories religiously with one refeed meal. I've been doing 5 days cardio a week. My heart rate has been in the 132 zone every single time. I've been doing 5 strength training workouts a week, going to failure, and I haven't lost any body fat. Then I would say, okay, there's something wrong. We need to look at this. But if you haven't been doing something consistently for a period of time in terms of the 3 things we talked about, your diet, your training, and your cardio, it's very hard for me to advise because you're not consistent enough first. The reason why my shred programs work for people is because people stay consistent to them. That's all it is. People think Kim's shreds are amazing. Kim's shreds really work. Kim's shreds only work because people remain consistent to the shred. It has consistent calories, consistent cardio, consistent training. And then they have consistent support in the groups. So that's why the shreds work, which means that you can do a shred anytime by yourself outside of the shred. Anyone here listening to this, if you just remain consistent with your calories, consistent with your cardio, and consistent with your training. That's all you have to do. The problem is most of us don't stay consistent enough for a long enough period of time. We put in a lot of effort for a short period of time, then we get disheartened because we think that the results that we're getting are not good enough. And we should be getting more results because this has been so hard. And I've been doing it now for like 2 weeks. And it's been really hard. And I've only lost 4 pounds. And I'm like, great, that's amazing. They're like, but like, it was so hard. Like, I know, so hard to lose 4 pounds. It's very easy to put it back on. Very easy. Why is it so easy to put the weight on and so goddamn hard to lose it, right? I would love someone to like explain why the universe works that way, because it's just not fair. So, Jennifer, I think you need to be a wee bit more consistent. I would love for you to write a post for me in the group and let me know how consistent you've been. You've asked, should you do another shred? And should you do 4 weeks or 8 weeks? I think you should do what you're going to stick to, Jennifer. I can't tell you whether to do 4 weeks or 8 weeks. What I can tell you is I think you should stick to a goal or stick to a program consistently and religiously and not let yourself off the hook, and do it for a reasonable period of time and see how your body responds. And if your body responds well on an 8-week shred with consistent cardio, consistent training, and consistent calories, then you can say, great, on an 8-week program at 1,400 calories, doing cardio 5 days a week and strength training 5 days a week, I can lose, or I lost 8 pounds or 10 pounds. So I know that if I do this, I can do this. So then you can say, right, with this consistent platform that I have now built, can I continue with this, but add in 1 refeed day a week? Let me do that for 2 weeks and see what happens. I'll keep the cardio the same, the training the same, the diet the same, but I'll add in 1 refeed meal a week. Let's see what happens. So you do that, you do it for 2 weeks, you take your progress pictures, you measure, and you go, great, my body soaked up those calories. I didn't put on any extra body fat. Fantastic. Okay, the cardios are killing me. Let me see what will happen to my body if I keep the calories consistent, the training consistent, but I drop 1 cardio and I keep the refeed. So you do that for 2 weeks. And then you see how your body responds. Do you see what I'm saying here? The problem is people change too much too quickly. We jump around with this, we jump around with that, we try this calories, these calories, we try this training, we try that cardio, we try this, we jump around all over the place, and then we wonder why it's not working. But you have to understand that bodybuilding is a science. It's a science because it's verifiable, reproducible, and measurable. That's what makes it a science. But can you imagine if a scientist went in to, let's say they were going to try and find the cure for cancer, and they went in to their lab, right? And they were like, well, we'll just like try a little bit of this and try a little bit of that, and sure, we'll chuck some of this in a petri dish, and we'll throw some of these these cancer cells in here, or we'll inject these rats with cancer, and then we'll but one day we'll give them this, but then the next day we'll give them this, but then like on the third day we'll try something completely different. You'd be like, whoa, hang on a wee second here, like how the hell are we ever going to find the cure for cancer if you're all over the place? You'd be like, this is nuts. They're like, I know, but we're trying to find the cure for cancer. You're like, but you're never going to find the cure for cancer. How are you going to know what's working? And they'll be like, well, we're just going to guess, no. Right? You would be, as a non-science person, you would be horrified if you saw scientists trying to find the cure for cancer by doing it this way. But yet that's how we approach our bodies. We try a little bit of this and a little bit of that and throw a little bit of that in and take a little bit of that away. And some days do this, and some days do that. And we're all over the place for 8 weeks. And we go, damn, I didn't get the results I wanted. And you're like, well, like, how do you know what worked? Because you were just all over the place. In order to figure out what works, you have to stay consistent. And, I'm always banging on about the consistency word, but it's because women are not consistent. We're on, we're off, we're up, we're down, we're backwards, we're forwards. One day we're on diet, one day we're off diet, one day we're on the keto diet, the paleo diet, the vegan diet, the carnivore diet, the skinny teas, the GLP-1s that like we're injecting, we're drinking, we're eating, we're running, we're walking, we're fasting, we're intermittent fasting, we're strength training, we're dumbbell training, we're all over the fucking place, right? We don't know what the hell we want, and then we complain that we're not getting the results. You know what men do? And I'm not saying men are better than women, but they are at bodybuilding. You know what men do? Men go, there's a gym program. I'm going to follow that for a year. And I'm going to eat that amount of protein. I'm going to eat that amount of carbs. I'm going to eat that amount of fat. And I'm going to go for a run 3 times a week. And you know what men do? They go for a run 3 times a week. And they eat that amount of protein, that amount of carbs, that amount of fat. And they train with that training program for a year. And they don't change anything. And what happens to their bodies? Their muscles grow and their body fat burns off because they don't change everything. But women want to change everything because we're so into how we feel. It's all about how we feel. I just didn't feel like it today. I just feel like it. No one here, by the way, and not me. I would never do this, but I know other women have done this. I've heard this before. Those other women who don't show up to these calls, they do things like this. They go like, I wanted to train, but I just didn't feel like it today. I mean, it was leg day, but my knee was a wee bit sore and I didn't really sleep very well. And I just didn't feel like it. And like, I had, tofu and broccoli for lunch, but I had tofu and broccoli yesterday and I didn't really feel like eating it. So I just had a wee bit of pizza instead, because it like was so much nicer, We're like, and then we weigh ourselves at the end of the week and we hope and pray that, the work that we didn't do and the food that we did eat that was off plan won't have made any difference. And if we jump on the scale, it'll show a 5 pound loss. Never does. So that's what women do, right? We're all about feeling. It's all like how we feel in the moment. And unfortunately, as women, we can't control that. We are hormonal, emotional, feeling, physical creatures. That's just how we were made. We cannot control that. But what we can control is our reaction to it. Just because you don't feel like it doesn't let you off the hook. Just because you didn't feel like having tofu and broccoli for lunch doesn't mean you get to eat off plan. We have to learn to do it when we don't feel like it. We have to learn to eat it when it doesn't appeal to us. We have to learn to be tougher and to stop being so driven by how we feel. This is why men control the world. I hate to get deeply philosophical for you, but it's true. Men control the world because men are much, much better at cutting off their feelings and doing hard shit. They feel the same way we feel. They just don't buy into the feeling. They don't make the feeling the most important thing. Now, that is what makes us incredible mothers, incredible nurturers, incredible wives. I'm not saying don't be female. I'm saying be female when it's time to nurture. Be female when it's time to love your children and be a best friend and love and nurture and care for. Be feminine when it's time to be feminine. But when you're trying to change your body, feminine doesn't serve you. Male serves you. I am very masculine in my tendencies. I always have been. I have a lot of female side, but I'm also very masculine. I can feel hunger and just go, oh, well, shit happens. It's not going to kill me. I don't have to eat when I'm hungry. I can feel exhausted, but still push through. I can feel like not training, but still train. You just have to train yourself to do the hard thing and stop being so invested in how you feel. That's the problem that women have when it comes to bodybuilding. That's why men are so successful at it and women are so shit at it for the most part, because we don't know how to overcome what we feel and just show up and follow through. But when you learn that, when you genuinely learn how to do that and you do it again and again and again and again and again, you teach yourself to do the hard thing and you learn that nothing bad happens if you don't buy into your feeling. And the reason why I think this happens to a lot of us, especially as little girls, is because whenever we're young, because we're female and because we're little girls, the adults buy into the shit that we do, right? So, and we don't do it purposely, but here's what happens. As little girls, we feel something and so we feel something in our body or something upsets us, right? And we go, what do little girls do? Right? And they just, they like, my daughter was so emotional compared to the boys. I have 3 boys and 1 girl. And Maya, like the minute she didn't get what she wanted when she was a little girl, she would have been like, but why? Why? And the boys would have been like, oh, can we not have pizza tonight? Okay, sure. Oh, that's disappointing. And they would have just laughed. And she'd be like, but why? Mommy, why? And so because this is like so triggering for the adults in our lives to have these little girls do this, we go, oh, but it's okay. But but don't do that. And we start like doing all these behaviors and all of these antics to try and like stop the crying because the crying's so triggering for me and we don't know what to do. But like, and it's like this little girl's having this really emotional time, right? Of course, this is not true for everybody, right? Some girls here, some women here, or whatever, we're told, shut the fuck up and sit down, right? That's just, we were dealt that way. So we learned to be more like men. Me. That's how I was brought up. It was like, tears did not get you anywhere in my family. So, but we buy into this with little girls. And so therefore, whenever we grew up, we believed that our feelings are the most important thing, because whenever we were younger, we had this massive big feeling, all the adults paid attention to us. And then they offered us things like food to make us feel better. I saw someone did that the other day. I saw them do it with a little, who was it? A little child. I can't remember where I was, but anyway, a little boy or little girl was crying. And I watched 3 different adults in my company offer this child food to make them feel better. Why don't you go and get some ice cream to make yourself feel better? Oh, why don't you have, it was like ice cream or chocolate, or why don't you go over there to the chocolate table and get a wee piece of chocolate to make yourself feel better? I'm just watching all of these Pavlovian links, all of these overeating tendencies being downloaded into these children who are being trained to go and get food to make themselves feel better, to cover up their feelings. That's why we have such a problem with obesity, because we are training our children to cover up their emotions with food, because we immediately say, oh, did you fall and hurt your knee? Let's go get some ice cream. Will ice cream make you feel better? Have you ever thought about that for a minute? I'm totally on my soapbox here now. I'm so sorry. Ice cream to make you feel better. All you're having is an emotion. Like you fall, you hurt your knee, you feel pain. Your body has a release of the pain, which is the crying. Why do we need ice cream? Like your body is comforting itself by crying. Why do you need ice cream to make the knee better? Your body's got an inbuilt comfort mechanism. It's called crying. That's why we cry. Tears are very cleansing. Salt tears are very cleansing for the body. They release cortisol. Your body is releasing cortisol and comforting itself by crying. You don't need to train your children that they have to have something sweet to make themselves feel better. That just creates a Pavlovian link, which creates obesity later in life. So as little girls, this is what happens to us. Whereas what happens whenever little boys cry? What do we say to little boys? Big boys don't cry. Shh, be quiet. Stop. Stop crying. Big boys don't cry. So boys grow up learning big boys don't cry. Again, I'm not saying this is good, by the way, because men need to learn to process their emotions the same way that women do. But men are told big boys don't cry. So big boy grows up. Big boy is given a meal plan that he doesn't particularly like in order to achieve a goal that he wants. And he looks at it, and what his programming says is, you don't like it? Tough shit. Big boys don't cry. So big boy in bodybuilding gets on and eats the meal plan and just does the hard thing. Whereas girls go, but why? Why? Then we want someone to come and virtually save us and give us ice cream to make us feel better. That's why we have such a hard time in bodybuilding. So that totally went off on a tangent there, but I think it was really worthwhile, because I think that women, a lot of times I get so many questions. Women ask me, how do I follow through? How do I reach the end of a program? How do I stop self-sabotaging? How do I, do the hard thing? I'm like, learn every day to be tougher. Stop letting yourself off the hook. The self-sabotage is not some beast that comes and takes over your body. It's like, it's like I keep sleeping through my alarm in the morning. If you sleep through your alarm, it's a choice. The alarm goes off, you turn it off, you go back to sleep. You chose to go back to sleep. The alarm, there wasn't some like mythical sleep creature in your bedroom that like lulled you back to sleep like a baby, rocked you in its mythical arms. Like you chose to go back to sleep. If that same alarm had gone off to get you up for work, and if you didn't go to work, you would lose your job and lose your house and lose your, not be able to pay your bills. You're getting out of bed and going to work. So we choose to not do the hard thing because it's too hard. But then we think that there's something outside of ourselves that is stopping us from doing these hard things, rather than it's just you, sweetheart, right? You are the thing that's stopping you from doing the hard thing. So if you want to do hard things, you got to learn to do hard things. How do you do hard things? You do them again and again and again, every fucking day. 99% of my day is hard. I go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. I've recorded 2 butt camp workouts today, both 45 minutes long. The second one was so hard because my glutes are so tired. Did I not do it? No, I've had copious amounts of meetings. I've made several videos. I've made so many decisions. I'm going straight from here to go home and cook dinner for the family. And then I've shit tons to do tonight. Do I complain? No, just get on and do it because it's necessary and it needs done. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. I've just learned to do hard things. Did I feel like it? No. Do I want to do it? Absolutely not. Sometimes Natasha has to come and give me a wee nudge and she's like, are you going to record another workout? I'm like, I don't want to, Natasha. But do I do it? Yes. So do hard things.